Hi, welcome to the Edinburgh Bookshop, and we're really happy to have on the sofa today Nicky Singer with your book, The Survival Game.
Yes.
Would you read a little bit to us from your book, please?
Yes, I'd be delighted. This is chapter 1, Man and Boy. I hear them before I see them, of course. You don't travel 10,000 kilometres without being aware of what's behind you as well as what is ahead. It's not a large noise, just the small snap of a twig, 2 twigs. And there are lots of twigs here. 1,000 twigs, 1,000 broken branches, a whole hillside of storm-uprooted trees, and yet I hear those 2 small snaps, or rather I hear the pause that follows them, the silence of it. It's the sound of somebody listening to their own footfalls, their own breathing, hearing the sudden yelp of air in their chest. I know this, because I too have listened to my own footfalls and held that shout of breath in my chest. I turn around. I've learnt this too. It's always better to face whatever it is. Most things can be dealt with, and if they can't be dealt with, you can put them in castle. There are 2 of them, and they're not soldiers. Not soldiers! Just a man and a boy standing quite still, not trying to hide. Maybe they're too exhausted to hide. I scan them quickly. Life and death these days is often about speed. The boy is young, maybe 5 years old. I could kill him with my bare hands if necessary. So I turn my attention to the man. The man is old and thin, though that means nothing. Everyone is thin these days. He's dressed in rags, clothes which, like mine, were probably once brightly coloured but which now have the dirt of travel on them. Travel dirt gets between the fibres of cloth and stays there even if you go to the river to wash. The man and his clothes are now the same colour, the colour of mud. The man stoops, as if he's carrying an invisible weight on his shoulders. I note his veined hands, his bare legs, his shoeless feet. People who want to live need to take very good care of their shoes. But although the man's head is bowed, his eyes are not. From beneath his mud lids, he's looking straight at me. I take the gun from my belt and point it at him. The gun is a revolver. I got it in the riot at Heathrow, DC, 500 kilometres and 21 days ago. I'm much too close to home to be stopped now. Home. The gun has no bullets in it. I know this, but the man and the boy do not know this. They would be wise to assume the gun does have bullets. I always assume this about people with guns. Halt! I say. Halt is a good word, an excellent word. Many more nationalities understand the word halt than understand the word stop, probably because it's the word the soldiers use. Halt, 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 put your hands up! The man halts. He puts his hands up, or rather he puts just one hand up, because his other hand is holding on to the child. I flick the gun muzzle in the direction of the child. My eyes follow the eye of the gun. I allow myself to look at the boy now. He's also thin and dark, perhaps darker than the man, and his eyes are like cups. Eyes like cups. The phrase ambushes me, coming as it does in my father's voice. A phrase from one of the Sudanese folk tales he used to read to me when we lived in Khartoum, in the days before the desert, before the soldiers, before castle! Remember, Papa said, whatever happens, the world is beautiful. Yes, Papa. This boy is beautiful. His hunger plumped out by the still soft skin of the very young. His head is almond-shaped, and he has a dark, rose-petal mouth. There's a smudge of sunlight on his nose. His deepest cut eyes give nothing away. Let go of the boy, I say. The man loosens his grip immediately, puts a second hand in the air. This is good. It means the man understands English. Things are always trickier if you have to conduct negotiations like these in sign language. It's also good because I'm a girl, and some people think they can take advantage of girls. Move apart. I twitch the gun left and right, indicating the space I want to see between them. The man moves a pace or so from the boy, but the boy remains where he is, not moving himself, but not seeking to close the gap either, just as he did not move when I made the old man let go of his hand, did not grab for the man or cry out or make any sound at all. Good, I say. And then I add papers.
Thank you.
Jolly, isn't it?
It's a light-hearted romp, yeah.
It's a rom-com.
No, wow. Whatever happens, the world is beautiful. Love that.
Yes, well it is.
It is.
Or should be.
Yes.
And if not, we shall make it so.
Absolutely. Yes. What are you most pleased with or proud of with this book?
Well, the idea for this book was given to me by a friend of mine who's an environmentalist about 30, possibly even 40 years ago, when I asked him what did he really think would happen if we failed to get grips with climate change. And he replied, you better be prepared to go to Scotland and take a gun. And he wanted me, even then, to write this story, and I didn't know how to write it. And I suppose what I'm most proud of is I finally found a way to write it.
Brilliant. Yeah. So 30 or 40 years in the gestation. Very nice. Now, would you like to pick a question from the Cat in the Hat's
Very excited to pick a question. What have you enjoyed reading recently? Well, it's a funny thing, depending on what stage I am at a book, I read different things. So at the moment I'm reading quite a lot of non-fiction. There's an amazing book by a woman called Lara Pawson. I think it's called The Place to Be, but it's one of those titles that's infinitely forgettable. Sorry, Lara. But it's an extraordinary book. She was a journalist in Angola, and it's written like little snatches of memory. And each thing is a vignette in its own right, and yet it works, building a sort of much, much bigger picture than the individual vignettes do. And it's about memory and how those moments of your life stand out like sort of bright little buttons. It's a really gorgeous book.
All right.
It's very exciting.
Another dip.
Where is your favourite place for reading and for writing? Okay, well, I'll start with writing. That's quite easy. I am not one of these people who can go to a cafe and write. Paquet J.K. Rowling. She did very well doing that. And I've got friends, like my friend Alan Gibbons, and when you're at a festival with him in the festival thing, before you go on show, you're there, reading your book and having a cup of tea and making polite conversation to people, and he's sitting in the corner on his laptop writing. Like, how can you even do that? It's extraordinary. So mainly I like being in my room at home, where I have my computer. And even though my sons persuaded me to get a laptop, and they said, your writing will completely change when you can take your laptop and work anywhere. I just go straight in the study and work there. So, and my favourite place for reading, probably in bed, because my day job is doing a lot of screen work, obviously. So I tend to do a lot of reading in bed, and I don't sleep very well, so I often wake at 4 in the morning, and I often read for an hour and a half between about 4 and 5:30. Not everyone's idea of a good night, but it works for me.
Yeah, well, I think, just embrace it and look forward to your nighttime reading.
Have another one.
There you go.
I'm afraid I suffer terribly from FOMO, so I keep thinking, I wonder if I'm not getting the most interesting question.
What is the other question?
Yes. What else are you doing while in Edinburgh? Well, not a lot, because we leave in a couple of hours. But I'm up here with my publicist Emily from Hachette, and we are doing some visiting in Edinburgh today, and some schools in Glasgow tomorrow, and then some schools in Ardrossan and some other shops, and then we're going to the Isle of Arran, because the child here, Mari, has to get from the Sudan, when the borders start closing, back to the Isle of Arran. And the book's a sort of road movie about that, and it's about what she finds when she finally gets there, and is it a place of safety or not. So we're going back to Arran, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that will be wonderful. Okay, maybe one more.
Do I get the prize? Who or what best supports your writing? Who? I don't know about who. If I hadn't had a very nice husband who earned some money over the years, I probably wouldn't have been doing any writing at all, because I would have been too dead poor. Actually, that's not true, because writing is a bit like breathing, and if you don't do it, you die a little. So I would have done it, I would just have been a lot poorer. So I have to give him some praise here. What supports my writing? Probably anger best supports my writing. I mean, a lot of things I think about and write about come out of a feeling of anger and a feeling of this isn't fair, or this isn't right, or what are we going to do to change this? So it's those sort of niggly things that stop you sleeping at night, which is, I don't do very well. Those things that keep you awake, and you go, hang on a minute, shouldn't we be thinking about this, or talking about this, or supporting this person, or this? So it's that niggly sense of injustice in the world.
That keeps the fire
that keeps
fueled.
The fire lit, yes. Yeah. Yes, probably. Can I have another one, or is that the end?
You can have another one.
What is your favourite aspect of the writing process? Well, that's difficult because each part of it is frustrating and wonderful in its own way. So when you start and you really have got nothing, it's like, oh my word, is this idea any good at all? I think this idea is rubbish. But then the nice bit of that is when you're not thinking about it, suddenly something will come in your brain and you'll go, oh, I was thinking about it when I wasn't really thinking about it. And you know that the idea has started to hook in when you're think about it when you're not thinking about it. So I quite like that bit. I love doing the research. I do all sorts of different sorts of bits of research. So I might do research which is reading, or I might, for this book for instance, when she travels over the border, she has to cross the border not on a road but in a river. So as I'm not very good at imagining things, I came to the border and found a place where I could cross in the river and cross the border in a river myself. And then I also travelled to the Sudan where part of this is set. And she goes in the desert, and I slept out in the desert for a night and looked at how the sand goes and looked at how the stars go. And I went to the Glasgow necropolis at midnight and lay on tombs, which is what she has to do. So I didn't make any of it up. I lived it. So I love that bit, that researchy bit. And then the writing is very nice because by the time you start writing, you know what you want to say, or at least I do. I mean, some people write to find out what they think, whereas I write when I know what I think. And therefore it's a matter of putting the words on the page. And if you get the words right, it's very satisfying, and if you don't, it's obviously very depressing and miserable.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, this has been lovely fun. Thank you.
No, it's so nice to meet you. So you're off on your tour, off to Arran, and then
Wigton. We go to Wigton Festival.
Brilliant. And then new adventures perhaps await. But meanwhile, the survival game is out in the shops.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming to see us.
All good bookshops. This is a good bookshop. It's called the Edinburgh Bookshop.
Thank you so much for coming to see us.
Thank you.